for Hammond School Board election. We thankfully have here today 4 candidates of the 6 that are on the ballot and the 5 that are active. So my understanding is that Mr. Ochoa is either baking a cake, buying a cake, partying with his mom, or taking a nap. Those were all the things we discussed as possibilities today. What he'd be doing instead of being here. If you think I'm being hard on him, yeah, you should see when he texts me. It's something else. All right, so how does that work? Well, one thing, get on here, share it from my feed onto the coalition, and then give it back. Okay, so the format today. We basically have 4 main questions. Format is more or less the same as before. We are giving people today, we are still intermixing questions from the floor, questions from the stream. We are also going to be doing basically the 2 rounds for every question. So people can, even if it's a floor question, even if it's an online question, people can raise their hand at first, get that larger time limit, which for today is 2 minutes. And if by the end of it that they didn't raise their hand right away and they think to themselves, okay, I do have something to say about that, they have 1 minute to jump in at the end. Of course, they're all expecting to raise their hands. So far, they've been pretty good about that. Audience members, there are plenty of index cards. There are also microphone. This microphone will come out to you if you raise your hand when we are taking floor questions. And again, we'll be intermixing the 2. They're going to have 2 minutes to introduce themselves just now. And as part of that, per community request, we were told we really have to have these candidates tell you guys who they are. So the question, who are you? Was something that was really important to people last time. When it comes to questions, you are allowed to specify a candidate that you want to have answer a question. Candidates can decide to answer, not answer, even if a question isn't necessarily directed at them. And we will get started. We are going to have interpretation in Spanish. We were hoping for ASL, but it looks like it didn't happen, unfortunately. So, God willing, maybe next time, if there is a next time in a few years. Oh, I didn't know if you were going to translate any of the introduction even. Hammond, whoever wants to do whatever. Or not at all.
Are there any Spanish speaking?
No. Wait, you never know. It's fine. We're still going to translate. We're still going to interpret no matter what. We always do. And we will never know. Yes, not only that, but yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Okay. So, by the way, Area Education Coalition, that's who technically is hosting. I'd like to acknowledge Legacy Foundation, helping us out, paying for interpreters, and also Cosecha, helping us out with some of the organizing of interpreters in Spanish. Hopefully somewhere we had Cosecha's materials that we were supposed to distribute. Those may have disappeared somewhere else. But excellent organization, both of those. And Legacy Foundation, they have a community kind of focused endeavor now called Rise and Live. So that is Legacy as well. You will see that on your programs. All right, so we're going to do candidate introductions. 2 minutes. Who happens to have the mic in front of them? Do we want to start with Cindy today? Okay.
Hi, my name is Cindy Murphy, and bullying is a trigger for me. I want to address a question that never should have been asked in class forum. Given your recent comments on Facebook suggesting that the teachers' union is racist, how do you plan to work with that union should you ever earn a spot on the board and repair that already fractured relationship? I asked what the context was. So a reasonable
Hold
person
up.
would decide to accept.
This is introduction, answering the question, who are you? Unless you are literally a Facebook post, the person,
I
wow.
only said it was directed to someone that wasn't present. Since I didn't have a comment, I went to the source. They denied that they made any comment directed to HDF. Instead, when asked by a friend, how was the interview with HDF, they stated to people present they weren't invited, and wondered why.
Anyone have any requests, music-wise?
Why did we only pick certain people to interview? Why
What?
didn't I get
Be a
to the table?
lady
Weren't they
tonight.
These comments amongst friends are delusional.
Yeah, you
When a
can
person
say,
of a
what?
large
Be a lady tonight.
Is it the color of my skin?
What if you've ever been a lady to begin with? What? Be a lady tonight.
They come from my profession.
A lady doesn't leave her restaurant. It isn't fair, and it's not nice. A lady doesn't wander all over the room to throw on some other guy's dice.
The question is,
So let's keep the party polite.
a power imbalance against the
Never get out of my sight.
that is something from marginalization and microaggression.
Look, if you've ever been a lady to begin with, look, be a lady with me or without.
Self-reflection.
So,
This does not happen again.
I can continue to entertain the crowd if you do that again. You didn't answer the question. You knew you weren't answering the question. The question was, who are you, or an introduction. Instead, you want to sit up here and I guess stump for Beto. Beto could just show up instead of baking a cake, buying a cake, taking a nap, partying with mom.
That is bullshit. You know very well his 70-year-old mother is in town for her birthday, and you are going to make fun of him?
No.
Being with his mother on her birthday. That is despicable.
I love false outrage. Nothing gives me a greater high.
Are they translating?
They could be, except I had to do an entire song and dance routine in the middle of you trying to disrupt this event. So, I guess, straight through, you're out. Goodbye. We're now going to do some big shit
Yes.
where, I mean, I feel so, I'm sorry, we've never had this happen before.
Oh, yes.
I guess we could have.
Whatever you
Oh, you know, this is crazy. You're right. So we ignore meetings. This is the shit that happens, right? Except you haven't quite realized you're not the person on the floor that's being shut up. You're the person that was given a mic to talk, and you decided to try to bully a questioner for the second time. That's what you did last time. You can go.
No,
I can sing an outro if you want.
3 minutes you were
Do I have a request? Music-wise, what are we doing?
we move on.
Yeah, but which Frank's an outrage? Just did Frank. Who else? Well, I mean, we could do more Frank, but which Frank?
Jesus, we're okay.
Oldest established? Or is that just too kind of picky? I mean, yeah, it's established.
Threw me out.
No, I have thrown her out.
She threw me out.
We're not going to be throwing people out.
I mean,
We are every equal opportunity.
no. We're not going to sit there and play boo-hoo, anti-white, racist. I don't even know what the fuck was happening.
Doctor, we're less perspective here. Can we have the debate, please?
Yeah. Fine. Sorry, Cindy.
By
You
all
had.
means, please.
No, this is not your event. This is my event. Please go. I'm not.
Listen, she has had knowledge that she's going to share.
Shut up, shit.
I know you want to, but try it.
No. Okay. Who actually wants to introduce themselves here? Okay, cool.
Is this my, can everybody hear me? My name is Evangeline Stanford. I'm running for school board. I am a Hammond resident. I'm a homeowner and I've lived here for 18 years and have no plans on leaving Hammond at this point. I have a bachelor's of science in accounting, and I have an MBA in marketing. I do a lot, well, as much as I can. I volunteer around Hammond, and I'm retired, so I have a lot of time to spend visiting the schools and working on the board. I would like to say that although I don't have children, that's my one thing that everybody else has and I don't. I've taken care of many children, nieces, nephews, and I'm all about children. So I want to make it clear that I am also a taxpayer, and my taxes are going towards these schools. So I want my money to be spent the way it should be, so that the schools are the best they can be for our kids. That is part of what I strive for as a member if I get chosen as a member of the board. I also have done a lot of cost accounting in my life. I've done budgeting and I've done auditing. So I'm looking forward to sharing those skills on the board as well.
Translation.
Hola, mi nombre es Evangelina Stanford. Soy residente de Hammond por 18 años. Soy retirada. Me gradué con mi bachillerata en contabilidad. Aunque no tengo hijos, mis taxes van a la escuela. Y estoy retirada, so tengo bastante tiempo para estar con todas las diferentes partes de lo que se va a necesitar hacer en esta posición.
You said you've done accounting, budgeting, and what?
Auditing and that's been it.
He hecho planes de dinero para diferentes lugares y he checado las financieras de compañías para asegurar que el dinero se esté usando efectivamente. Esas son una de las cosas que yo puedo contribuir a este equipo de board si me eligen.
Thank you. To be completely transparent, I was so distressed by what happened right before that I did a really bad job of timing you. So,
Oh, I'm usually short.
yeah, but next two folks up here, honor system with the times, that's what Ms. Evangeline got as well. I also do want to give our interpreters a chance to introduce themselves real quick.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claudia Sandoval. Everyone calls me Coco. I am actually what's known as a Brown Beret. The Brown Berets are Chicano activists. I've been doing activism in Northwest Indiana and Chicago since I was pregnant with her. So 5 years old, since 5.5 years or so. I'm literally the face of Chicago Brown Berets. Type in Chicago Brown Berets to see me everywhere. I've worked with our people. I've had boots on the ground. I've gone to Minnesota for George Floyd. I can keep going and going. But I'm here as the voice of our people. I'm also bilingual, Chicana, which means I'm fluent in Spanish, English, and I can other as well. So I'm here translating for the people, and hopefully I get to know all of you. I'm a great person to know. I have a lot of resources if someone needs help in the community.
Hola, my name is Osiris Morales. I'm a dual language teacher at Irving Elementary School in Hammond, Indiana. I came through the schools here when I was a child, and I always wanted to come back and help in the Spanish-speaking community. And so the opportunity opened for the dual language program to develop, and I jumped on it as soon as I could. This is another opportunity for me to help translate events for people, and so we hope to be translating the meat and potatoes of their content so that way the community can at least know what are their ideas and what are they trying to do on this board. So thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Lizette, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Hello, my name is Lizette Martinez, and I'm a mom, single mom
Mi nombre es Lizeth Montañez, soy una mamá y trabajadora de la comunidad. He trabajado a nivel administrativo en escuelas y lo que yo quiero es traer equidad a todos y soportes en lo que pueda ayudar. He vivido aquí en Hammond por 12 años aquí en Hammond y 8 años en 2 diferentes comunidades. He vivido en el estado de Indiana por 20 años. Soy una mamá de un niño que tiene educación especial. Desafortunadamente los desarrollé de las escuelas porque tenía muchas preocupaciones de los soportes que tenía mi hijo en las escuelas. Yo quiero hablar más con ustedes y dejarles más sobre mis ideas en lo que hablamos más esta tarde. Gracias.
I am Melissa Hilla. I am a lot of things. The question was, who are you? And I can tell you a lot of things. The most relevant to me running for the school board is I am a mother of a toddler. I am a stepmother to 3 boys who one graduated from Hammond Central this year. One is a freshman at Hammond Central and one is Burn 6. 2 of our boys have been affected by consolidations. I am a bus driver. I am a caretaker for my dad, who's a disabled veteran. I'm a former teacher and current PTA council president. I am a lifetime learner. I am somebody who loves to read, study, learn. I like to act rather than just speak about things. And I will try to keep this short and sweet. So I'm sure I will say more about myself farther down the line, but that's the gist of it. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Melissa Vera y yo soy muchas cosas. Soy una candidata al momento, soy una mamá a mi hija y una mamá a mis hijastros. Tengo un estudiante que está en la Hammond Central, que está acabando, y tengo un estudiante que está en la escuela Burn 6 y uno que está ya en el colegio. Y 2 de mis estudiantes fueron afectados cuando cerraron las escuelas la segunda vez. Soy también chofer de autobuses. Antes fui maestra. Ahorita estoy cuidando a mi papá en lo que necesita ayuda. Cosas de mí, me encanta leer, me encanta estudiar y aprender más. Me gusta poner en acción las cosas que tengo planeado en vez de solo hablar de ellas. Y gracias por darme este momento.
Thank you. So, for this first question, it's a little bit meatier, but candidates are free to answer any part of this that feels relevant to them. So, how much money are TIF districts, that's TIF is a tax increment financing, districts getting, which could be going to Hammond schools? What is this actively funding? Do you support recovery of TIF monies for Hammond schools? And if so, how? What role do school districts / boards play in TIF?
¿Cuánto dinero están recibiendo distritos de TIF? Eso es cuando incrementan la cantidad de taxes que te cobran de impuestos, que podría ir en vez a las escuelas de Hammond. ¿En qué se están usando estos dineros al momento? ¿Soportan que las escuelas estén recuperando estos fondos? ¿Qué rol tiene el board involucrado en todo esto de TIF?
All right, who wants to tackle this one? Hands. Okay, everybody wants this one. Okay, 2 minutes. Missy, I guess we'll start with you first.
I did write the answers ahead of time, and I tried to answer every part of this as quickly and efficiently as possible. I will have to look at the property values to know how much our district is getting in TIF money, as I understand it to be based on those numbers. I also need to dig deeper as to what those dollars are actively funding, but my understanding is that those dollars are supposed to be used on infrastructure such as roads and sewers. I absolutely support taking advantage of any funds we can bring into our district. How we can recover TIF money is something I plan to dig deeper into by speaking with people who are experts on the subject. In my research into TIF districts, it seems that many people in school corporations are displeased with how it affects their school. When departments and various parts of government don't work together, things can fall through the cracks and citizens can suffer. I believe that if school boards work closely with our local government to ensure that our schools are getting the necessary funding, our children will benefit.
Sí, quiero dejarles saber que escribí mi respuesta antes de contestarlo porque quise responder lo mejor que pude. Lo primero que haré es ver qué es el valor de las propiedades y cuánto dinero están generando. Ya después quiero ver en qué se está usando el dinero. Se están usando para los caminos, el drenaje, esos sistemas que nos ayudan a la comunidad para vivir bien. Después investigué sobre cómo puede hacer el board lo que necesita hacer para que este dinero se navegue bien. Lo que yo quiero enfocarme es que los niños deben de tener la cantidad de dinero que necesitan para tener éxito en las escuelas.
Yes, 2 minutes.
Alright, well, you explained tax, basically, I think we should let people know tax increment financing is a tool that is used by municipalities to generate money for economic development projects. TIF is authorized by state law in nearly all 50 states, and the city spends TIF revenues at its discretion. But school districts can also benefit in few ways. Direct spending, the city can spend revenues directly to projects that benefit the school district, and then there's surplus TIFs that the city declares to fund, and so forth. But to answer your questions, how much money are the TIF districts getting? In our district, it's somewhere about $3 million, and according to CFO or CEO, depending on what the district is, that's what they call them. According to CFO Kurtz, he says that we are allowed to get anywhere from 0 to 15% if allowed. The second, and we're not getting any. Are these dollars being used actively? Well, they're going right back to the redevelopment. And the schools are not benefiting from any of it. Absolutely. We would need to establish some cooperation with different entities, and they would have to be willing to pay a fair share. That's how I like to call it, fair share. What role do the school corporations play? Well, the CFO and the school board would be the ones to bring that up, and that should be done immediately. Immediately, that cannot wait till next year, because the budget's coming up, and that's when we decide where the money. So, thank you. We'll speak more on TIF and inform the community about it.
Los incrementos de impuestos financieros son proyectos económicos. TIF está en todos los 50 estados y cada estado está a su discreción de cómo ponerlo de país a país. Lo que es más, bueno, lo más de lo que pasa, que le pasaron a cada estado, para nuestro distrito son 3 millones que alocan a lo que es Hammond.
Lo que la ciudad genera son 3 millones de dinero. El director Kurtz, que es encargado de las financieras del distrito, nos dice que nos pueden dar de entre 0 a 15% de ese dinero, pero al momento nos están dando 0% de esos 3 millones. ¿Debemos de tener ese dinero de TIF? Absolutamente que sí. Pero de lo que yo tengo entendido es que el board solo puede tener partidos si el CFO, que es el señor Kurtz, lo menciona en una junta del board. Lo debemos de hacer ahora, no esperar, porque ya viene el tiempo que hacer el plan de los dineros, y cuando se hace ese plan ya sería muy tarde cuando pasa.
Y también lo que es el school board y el CFO trabajan juntos y como dicen, necesitamos hacerlos inmediatamente.
All right, we're going to you have 2 minutes on this. Okay. Can you hear me? All right. How much money are TIF districts getting? I'm going to go with the numbers that we said for now, but TIF changes. So as corporations and businesses come into Hammond, buy property and pay their taxes, if they're in TIF districts, then that becomes TIF money. You know, some of that becomes TIF money. The schools most definitely deserve a part of TIF money, just like they get money from every other property tax, from individuals and families who pay property tax. What is this actively funding? Currently, it's not funding anything for us, so the school districts are getting nothing. The president of the school board and the mayor need to work together to make sure that that money comes into the schools. That's not happening. And it hasn't happened. So, do we know where the education TIF money's going? I have no idea where it's going if it's not coming to the schools. So I think an educational fund needs to be created so that money can automatically go into that fund when that TIF money is, when the TIF money is collected as part of property taxes. What do school districts boards play in TIF? I think we've kind of covered that, but we need to make sure that that gets done. The current president of the board doesn't seem to be working with the mayor to get that money into the education, into the hands of education. That does have to change immediately.
I always print it off because I don't want to do that.
La alocación de TIF cambia cada año. Los distritos de las escolares no les dan nada de ese dinero, 0%. ¿Qué hacen con ese dinero? No sabemos. Lo que necesitamos hacer es alocar ese dinero en una fundación solamente para la educación. Necesitamos que asegurar que esto se hace, porque todo el dinero que podemos usar se puede usar adentro del distrito.
El presidente al momento del board no está trabajando con el alcalde de la ciudad, y eso necesita cambiar ahora, al momento.
All right. Do we have any questions from the floor at this time? Yes. Oh, I almost took myself out. That was terrible. So be careful when you stand up.
Please excuse my seat. I have 3, but I'll ask one, if you don't, but not give the opportunity. If elected as a school board trustee, would you use your power or influence over a teacher, administrator, to train grades of your child or expect your child to be given preferential treatment? All in.
Thank you. Translation.
Si elegido como miembro del board, tú usarás tu posición de poder para cambiar la calificación de tu estudiante con invitación a un maestro o a alguien encargado para mejorar lo que tú quieras.
I assume since that question was asked, it has been.
Hold up. Who wants it? Show hands. Everybody? Okay, sorry. I mean, it's for everybody, but everybody has the option to answer, not answer. Okay, go ahead. 2 minutes, Evangeline.
Okay, I assume since that question was asked, that has occurred, which is really unacceptable. Since I have no children, that shouldn't be a problem for me. I don't have anybody that I need grades changed for. And I think as with the new board come January, this cannot occur if it has occurred in the past. I think it needs to be dealt with swiftly if we see that happen.
Como esa pregunta está dirigida a los que tienen estudiantes, conmigo no sería problema porque yo no tengo estudiantes en las escuelas de Hammond en el momento. Pero si se ocurre que encontramos que eso sí pasa, debemos de navegarlo rápidamente y pasar para que no pase otra vez.
La razón por qué hizo la pregunta es según porque ha pasado actualmente y eso no debe de ser. Necesitamos que monitorar eso.
All right, is that 2 minutes?
Well, I guess that happened. I would never think that a school board member would abuse power to do such a thing. But in my case, my child, I pulled him out, but my intention is to put him right back in as soon as we get this situation settled in, you know. Should somebody do that? I personally would not, because that's not right. And if that's ever happened, that's foul, because that's not what a school board member is hired or elected to do. It's not equal opportunity by any means. And so favoritism for my child or to push, no, we're here to represent all the children. So as a mom of a child who did attend the district, I don't solely look out for my child. I'm looking out for every child, every teacher, every art teacher. I could throw that out there because I get a lot of messages. I heard. But all in all, we gotta keep our jobs and we gotta do it right and not get distracted in times of transportation and situations where we need to think of the children, all of them. Thank you.
Yo nunca pensaré que alguien con nuestro puesto pudiera hacer algo así. Sí, yo saqué a mi hijo de las escuelas, pero ya que se resuelve todo, lo voy a meter de nuevo. A mí nunca me gustará que pasara eso a mi hijo o a cualquier estudiante. Yo creo que todos debemos ser al mismo nivel y tratados igual. También cada maestra tiene que ser lo que es de su derecho, lo que ellos pueden hacer para que todos estén igual. No hay nadie más alto que el otro. Y nadie debe de tener ese tipo de influencia sobre una decisión como esa.
Yo estoy aquí para todos los estudiantes, para todos los maestros y para los maestros de arte que me han mandado muchos mensajes de correo electrónico queriendo saber qué está pasando con sus trabajos, los tienen seguros y qué van a hacer con la transportación.
All right, Nancy, 2 minutes, Melissa?
My first initial reaction, absolutely not. I'll expand on it a little bit. When it comes to grades, when it comes to anything, the way that we are with our kids is you're gonna fail. Failure is a part of life. You learn from it, you never make the same mistake twice, and you grow from it. Like they said, I hope that's never happened, but any abuse of power is absolutely disgusting.
Los grados como estudiantes es parte de la vida y fracasar en esa parte de la vida es algo que les enseña, es un aprendizaje que todos pasamos por eso. Y en la vida tienen que aprender eso. En esta forma van a tener que aceptar el grado.
Ojalá que no pase eso, que no abre un abuso de poder. Yo absolutamente no haría eso.
All right. I know we have another floor question that had come up. I want to make sure we cover the things people submitted and have time as well. So our next prepared question that folks got ahead of time was, how much money do school board presidents and trustees make, and why do they make that amount? Who wants that one first of all? We'll bring down transition. See, Missy, is Missy the only one? Was that? You'll wait?
No.
You want it? Okay.
¿Cuánto dinero reciben los miembros de la board y el presidente del board y por qué hacen esa cantidad?
All right. Take it away, Miss Melissa.
In my research, the answer to this question varied on the state. If I'm understanding right, the law varies by state, so that determines the why behind the pay. I plan to look further into that, though, to make sure I understand correctly. The latest article about Hammond School Board trustees' pay that I found was from earlier this year. I remember watching the board vote on their pay, but I wanted to confirm the exact amounts. According to the article I found, each member will receive $2,000 per year, plus $112 for each regular meeting, and $62 for each special meeting, work session, public hearing, or executive session.
Mi respuesta es que lo que yo entiendo es que depende del estado. Cada estado tiene diferente cantidad que les pagan a los miembros de los board, depende de la ley. Yo quiero saber todo esto para estar seguro que estamos usando el dinero efectivamente también. De lo que yo he estudiado de este año es que en una junta votaron el board y lo que vi es que cada año les pagan $2,000 y les pagan cierta cantidad por cada junta.
Son $120 por cada junta y luego incrementan adiciones cuando hacen cosas extra.
Who's that?
Yeah. Melissa Guerrero covered that one. It's somewhere between 2,000 to 3,100 across the state of Indiana. For our district, it's 2,000 cash. However, there are other, and the numbers for the meetings were correct, but there are other ways. When the school board is delegated to go to state for something, there's also some extra compensations and things like that. So I can't speak completely on that, but I'm doing my research on it. I will tell you this, us up here, anyone that's running for school board, we're not doing it for the money, okay? We're doing it because we love the kids, hopefully. It's not for the money. This is not a city council position, so it's all hard. And at some point it used to be a volunteer job, but now there are incentives.
Melissa cubrió esto muy bien. Sí es cierto de la cantidad de dinero que ella dijo, de lo que yo sé también. Hay otras maneras que nos dan incentivos a los miembros del board. Por ejemplo, cuando vamos de viaje al capital estatal, nos pagan y nos ayudan en esas maneras. Pero por cierto les digo que no estamos haciendo esto para el dinero. No nos pagan mucho para esto, pero quiero dejarles saber que lo que estamos haciendo esto es para los estudiantes y ojalá que también los otros miembros tienen eso en su corazón, que lo hacen para los estudiantes.
Y antes era voluntario, pero ahora hay incentivos y como dije, esto es todo corazón y ojalá que todos los miembros sientan igual.
All right, Angela.
I do agree that being on the board is definitely a labor of love. There's a lot of work involved with being on the board. And maybe people don't understand what is really involved. Reading and reading and reading to prep for meetings takes a lot of hours when you're not seeing them at the board. So there's a lot of dedication to really keeping up to date with all of the information that flows through the board. There are contracts to review, there's budget to review, there's a lot of information if the board members are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing on the board. That allows them to come to the meetings prepared. So please keep in mind that those few hours you see them at the board meeting is not the only thing that they're getting paid for. And that's why I see it as a labor of love, because there's a lot more work involved and a lot more hours. And in the future, the meetings may even get longer because there's so many changes that have to happen next year, things that we want to do that are not being done now. So keep that in mind. These hours that the board members will be spending as of 2025 will easily double. So just know that your board members are working really hard.
Thank you.
Estoy de acuerdo de lo que han dicho las otras candidatas. Este trabajo es una labor de amor. Hay muchas cosas que pasan ocultas que la gente no sabe de lo que hace un miembro del board. Por ejemplo, leer. Nos pasamos muchas horas leyendo mucha información que pasa del board y cosas que debemos de estar aprendiendo de los contratos, los planes de dinero, planes de desarrollar, iniciativas del distrito. Los miembros del board deben de venir preparados a las juntas. Esa es una labor de amor. Es muy costoso el tiempo que nos gastamos en leer, pero hasta en el futuro a lo mejor van a extender el tiempo de las juntas del board, depende de la ley. Hay muchas cosas que queremos hacer y a lo mejor eso es una posibilidad, pero les quiero dejar saber que tus miembros del board están trabajando mucho y están haciendo todo de su propio desempeño.
Thank you. So we're going to our next floor question real quick here. And this one I believe is intended to be directed at Evangeline Stanford. It says, what does E. Stanford mean by I'm good trouble, end quotes, printed on her signs? So who wants this one? Show hands. Evangeline. Anybody else? We good? Okay.
Queremos preguntar qué quiere decir que una frase que usa Stanford que dice yo soy problemas buenos. Es su frase pues que usa durante su elección.
Okay, take it away, 2 minutes.
Okay, the quick answer is, when I first got on the school board Facebook pages and put my information out there, someone replied to my saying that I was running for school board. They said, she is going to be trouble. That was actually on one of the Facebook pages. So I felt like I am going to be trouble. I'm going to be good trouble for people who aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that's where that name came. That's where that slogan came from. Besides the fact it's well known.
Cuando yo empecé a subirme a Facebook y entrar a las páginas de lo que está pasando en las campañas, alguien comentó que yo voy a ser un problema grande. Y yo contesté, no voy a ser un problema mala, pero un problema bueno. Y así fue como yo empecé a usar este frase.
So, John Lewis, that was the part that, if anybody else wants to add on to what is important to them about the phrase good trouble, I'll open it up to the floor. Anybody want to raise a hand, say a few words? You good? Okay. I will say that the time I was blessed to meet John Lewis, I was very impressed by him. I think that a lot of people are very cynical about people who are activists and then get involved in anything else that feels establishment, but I feel like he tried to bring that fight simply to a different space that it might not have been in otherwise. And thank you. Moving on to our next prepared question. What would you do differently in the future compared to what is being done now? Who wants this one? Show of hands. Was that, if you have any? Okay, thank you.
¿Qué harás usted en el futuro comparado con lo que está pasando ahora en este tiempo?
Well, I've said it before, I'd like to bring the focus right back to the kids, because the fact is that we're talking money, 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 and nobody's establishing goals for our children. And I actually have a plan to do that, a strategic plan, not just saying it. I actually have one. And while I'm not a school board member, that doesn't mean that I can't spend time now on trying to fix the problems of the future. It's essential. I want to bring that back. I want to bring the supports back. I feel that they made the wrong decisions, and they continue to make it on a weekly basis, it seems. We're in shock. So their corrective action plan that wasn't even introduced to us, just thrown on a page, it's not working. It's not working out for our employees, the employees. It's not working for anyone, not just teachers. Everyone is not functioning. So what we need to do is get to the budget and reconstruct it and make sure that we're asking all the right questions, so that way we get the information that we need. And I'd like to just do a 180 on that one and change it. Change that for our kids, because they deserve to be, to start achieving academically. And I think we have the district and all of the programs in order to do that. I just don't think anyone has been focused on that particularly. Thank you.
Como he dicho, quiero regresar el enfoque a los estudiantes, porque estamos hablando de dinero, 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 pero nadie tiene metas para nuestros estudiantes. Yo sí tengo esas metas para nuestros estudiantes. Tengo planes y estrategias para elegir esos fondos, como por ejemplo, quiero regresar los soportes a los salones y las escuelas. Creo que esa fue una mala decisión y siguen haciendo malas decisiones a nivel de distrito. Ese plan correctivo que según nos dijeron para solucionar todo esto no está trabajando. No nos dijeron con tiempo, nomás lo pusieron en un papel y dijeron que esto va a pasar. Quiero empezar con hacer el plan de navegar nuestro dinero de nuevo, a dar una vuelta entera para empezar todo de nuevo y construir un plan que sí nos va a trabajar para nuestro distrito, para los estudiantes, para que tengan éxito. Tenemos los programas y los recursos para tener éxito con los estudiantes, pero no lo estamos navegando bien.
Necesitamos hacer el cambio 180 grados, no todo círculo, pero medio círculo, para que no se vea lo que está pasando. Tenemos que cambiar todo totalmente, porque nuestro enfoque debe de ser con los estudiantes.
All right, Missy. Melissa, looks like you have a mic in your hand. Go for it.
I aim to do what I'm already doing. I will listen. I haven't seen a lot of that. I will show respect to our staff, parents, students, and community members that doesn't seem to be common currently. I will think outside of the box to find solutions that make our schools better for our students.
Lo que yo haré es algo que ya no se ve, escuchar. Escuchar a todos y escuchar a lo que quieren y lo que quieren decir. Más bien también respetar a todos, a cada padre, cada maestro y cada alumno de nuestras escuelas. Voy a pensar afuera de la caja para buscar resoluciones a nuestros problemas. Gracias.
few things that I'd like to bring up. The current board says they've passed all their audits. Okay. When you pass an audit, that doesn't mean your bookkeeping is done correctly. I've audited, so I know how it's done. That doesn't mean the money is spent the way it should be. So to me, those audits need to be checked. May require a forensic audit, but that's the choice of the new board. They say they have a budget. Has anybody seen whether we're following the budget? I've never seen any tracking of the budget and how we're spending the money to stay within the budget. That's something the new board needs to focus on as well. Are we marketing any positive things in our schools? I see them once in a while at a board meeting, but we talk to people when we go into the schools, even for like a trunk or treat, and they're talking about all the positive things their kids are doing that we never hear about at a board meeting. I think we need to start really marketing all the positive things that are happening in our district and not always focusing on the negative, because we've got a lot of negative. Are our board members getting off the board and going to visit the schools? Are they talking to the principals? Do the kids know who they are? Do the teachers know who they are? If not, I think that's something that our board needs to do to build the trust again in our community. You've got to get out there so they know who you are. We need to bring the board back to a team of 5 people who are working together instead of against each other. You can't get anything done if the team doesn't work together. So once the team is working as a unit, then we can involve the community, create some goals, and the superintendent involved.
I know.
El board dice que siempre pasan sus revisiones de dineros, pero yo pienso que esto no es cierto, porque se sigue viendo que hay problemas con eso. Dicen que tienen un plan para navegar el dinero. Eso tampoco no creo. ¿Por qué no están vigilando durante el año qué está pasando con este plan de dinero, si está progresando o si no está haciendo efectivo las cosas? Debemos de estar promocionando las cosas buenas también que están pasando en las escuelas. Cuando voy en eventos de la comunidad, me dicen mucha gente las buenas cosas que está pasando en sus escuelas con sus estudiantes. Los miembros del board deben de estar en las escuelas. Deben la comunidad de la escuela saber quién es este miembro del board y cómo nos afecta y nos ayuda. El board debe de ser un equipo de 5 personas que trabajan juntos para cumplir sus metas, no estar opuestos a uno al otro para no cumplir las metas.
Ahora es tiempo para que se junte el board y trabaje junto como un equipo entero, y para que la comunidad nos reconozca, porque lo que está pasando es que no están juntos y están separados cada uno, y es tiempo para ponerse como un equipo.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the floor? You don't have anyone? Okay. Coming at you. And you do remember, you do have pieces of paper. If you don't feel comfortable coming to the mic, you can hand it off, and any assorted person who can find you will take it. And we'll read them.
To all of you candidates, what's the highest degree you have attained since high school or certificates, and where have you been employed within your profession?
¿Qué nivel de educación has recibido? ¿Qué tipos de certificados tienes que nos puedes traer a este board? ¿Y qué empleados sobre lo que estudiantes has hecho o has cumplido?
So when it comes to how far my degrees are in education. Okay, so I've worked, and I've said it several times, I've been working in education since I was 8 accounting. Being that I worked in education, I was able to take any class I wanted. However, I do not have a degree. I've graduated 5 times. I have certifications in IT, programming, both software, hardware, and I have hands-on experience working with instructors, students, and everyone in a college setting. I've worked with deans of colleges, which is why I found it confusing that high schools have it, because that's not common. If you think that a degree is what makes you qualified, I beg to differ. Because anyone can get a degree and possibly not have learned anything. But when you're passionate about education and you've worked in it and you love it, like I do, you go above and beyond. So when I tell you I graduated 5 times, I went to various schools. I went to a trade school. I went to private school as a child. I went to public school as a high schooler. We graduated in each level. I'd love to see the children graduate more in Indiana. I don't see that. But you have to have the passion. So to answer your question, Ms. Trustee, Carlotta, Ray King, is that you definitely have to have the passion for education, experience working with the children. In financing, I've worked in 401k, worked with health and welfare, and I worked with several leaders of the union who taught me quite well. So I'm very proud to say that. Thank you.
Mis niveles de educación empiezan desde la edad de 18 años cuando empecé a trabajar con escuelas. También fui parte del administrativo equipo de la Unión Local 399. No tengo una bachillerata de certificado de una universidad, pero tengo muchos certificados, por ejemplo, en computación y aplicaciones de computadoras. Y tengo mucha experiencia trabajando con administración y con estudiantes. Muchos pueden cumplir con los requisitos para recibir los reconocimientos de un colegio diciendo que acabaron la programa. Pero uno puede recibir todo eso sin aprender nada, solo con cumplir con lo que dicen. Lo que yo tengo una pasión para la educación, para ayudar a la gente. Me gustaría tener más información y para ayudar a más estudiantes para pasar sus escuelas aquí en Indiana. Tengo experiencia financiera, tengo experiencia trabajando con administraciones y con niños. Tengo mucho que puedo traer a este board.
Estoy apasionada de trabajar en esto. Me ha graduado 5 veces y estoy muy orgullosa de esto. Por eso tengo mucha experiencia en lo que es lo nivel escolar y me encantará poder ayudar a la comunidad con esto.
All right, Melissa.
I have a bachelor's in education. I actually got my 4-year degree in Greek. I had no life for 3 years because I did online classes as well as my in-person courses. Other part of the question was where, right? I was actually speaking about this earlier, I taught in East Chicago, I taught at EC Central. I've also spoken about this, I was only able to teach for 1 year and choose family over career. My dad has schizophrenia and ended up in the hospital for three months. And so I chose that to take care of him over furthering my career. So I would love to have more degrees, I just had to choose a different path. But that never stopped my love for learning. I might not be going to get various degrees, but I'm definitely always reading, I'm always studying, I'm always, especially even now since starting on this journey, I wear glasses now. Because my eyes hurt so bad from reading. All of the contracts and laws and bylaws and state code and all of that. So if there's a question about degrees, that will never stop me from finding out the answers that I need to find out.
Tengo mi bachillerato en educación. Acabé de recibir esa bachillerato en 3 años en vez de 4 porque trabajé mucho. Trabajé de maestra en el distrito de East Chicago, en la escuela central. Pero después de eso mi papá empezó a tener sentidos de esquizofrenia y elegí ir a cuidar a mi papá en vez de regresar a la escuela para subir mi educación. Me paso el tiempo leyendo, me paso el tiempo estudiando. Siempre estoy aprendiendo algo. Por ejemplo, cuando empecé este camino de ser candidata, empecé a leer mucho. Empecé a leer tanto que ahora tengo lentes para mis ojos porque leí mucho. Leí las leyes, leí las reglas, leí todo lo que pude. No tener más educación no me está parando de tener el gozo y el placer y las ganas de ayudar a la comunidad a mejorar.
All right, Angela. Okay. I don't have well, I do have some experience in education, but not as much as these two ladies. So I bring a different angle of experience possibly to the board. I graduated, when I was in high school, I did go to vocational school my senior year, and I learned computer programming because I was going to go to college for that, but changed my mind. I was a National Merit Scholar, and I was recruited by the Dean of the School of Business at Florida A&M. That wasn't a school that I chose initially, but she called me, and she was recruiting National Merit Scholars, so I went there. During my 4 years in undergrad, I did 4 different internships. One in auditing, one in cost accounting, one at a CPA firm, and one at a bank. So I got a very well-rounded accounting experience in college. When I left college, I worked for Alcoa Aluminum. I was a cost accountant there. Then I went back to grad school, and I worked part-time for IBM. Well, actually, almost full-time. Finished my MBA in 2 years while working full-time. Then I went back to New York. And I was with my parents for a little while. Then I got a job in Nashville, and that's the job I worked till I retired. So I was with that company about 26 years. And I worked in financial software for hospitals. So we put together their databases. I taught cost accounting to the clients. I did a lot of training. I trained internally. So I have a lot of training experience as well.
No tengo la experiencia en educación que tienen las otras candidatas, pero lo que yo traigo es otra perspectiva diferente. Fui a una escuela de educación antes de cumplir la high school y ahí aprendí qué trabajo quería hacer y cuál no quería hacer. Empecé a estudiar mucho y me llamó a una escuela de Florida donde me querían ir ahí a la escuela. He tenido muchos trabajos. He trabajado en revisar el dinero de compañías. He trabajado para compañías financieras y he trabajado para bancos. Trabajé para compañías en Nueva York, trabajé para compañías en Nashville. También he trabajado para hospitales en el área de financieras y de entrenar personas. So, tengo experiencia en entrenando personas en hacer algo.
Como ven, tengo mucha experiencia y nos dijo buena suerte en poder decir todo lo que hace.
All right. So we have one last prepared question. So if you guys are thinking about a question that you want to answer from the floor or ask from the floor, or if you want to write one down, there's still note cards, extra ones in the back, pens, whatever people want to do. You can give them to Andy, nice gentleman's over there in the red hat. You can give them to William, wherever William just went. You can bring him up here. Your preference, but basically, last call for floor questions. So, last prepared question, how will you change transportation?
¿Cómo cambiarás transportación en las escuelas?
Who wants it? Is that okay, everybody? Okay. Who wants to start? Uh-oh.
What will we do different for education? What will I? For transportation? Well, I'm not on the board now, but I think that it needs to be prioritized and put back into effect now. I said again how they broke statute in it, and I'm very confused at how no one's prioritizing the safety plans. But I hope that gets resolved. If this continues on till January and I'm in, we're going to be bringing back transportation for the littles because I cannot believe that that wasn't even a part of the budget or prioritizing giving. I don't like the way they started out this school year. We had an opportunity. We had a corrective action plan. And what we're hearing is still that we're broke. So we need to change that, and transportation is not something that should have been cut out. It was cut out illegally, and I aim to change a lot of things, not just transportation, but that being a safety issue, we needed to put that into effect, and we need to start prioritizing that now, right now. Thank you.
Al momento no estoy en el board, pero priorizar la transportación sería una de las cosas que yo haría en el board. Si me eligen al board, luego sería una de las primeras cosas que yo hablaré con el board que quiero cumplir. Debemos de estar trayendo transportación de los niños, más bien a los niños pequeños. No me gusta como según tuvieron un plan de corrección de sus dineros y que todavía siguen que no tienen dinero. Eso no tiene sentido. ¿Cómo que no tenemos dinero todavía con el plan que según nos iba a ayudar a corregir esto? Hay que traer la transportación porque es importante para los estudiantes y pensar en esos tipos de medidas de seguridad.
I've learned about the transportation issues from attending the board meetings. So I know about the whole issue with the elementary school kids not having the buses if they live within a mile and a half of the school. I think that's the first thing that needs to be resolved. To choose the elementary school children as the ones to not have a bus, I think it was a really bad decision. Not that I think any child should not have a bus, but if you had to make a decision, perhaps it would have been better temporarily to have the high school children walk. Not saying walking for anyone is a good decision. We need to find some money, however. So the first thing we need to do is figure out where we can get the money to get the buses. I think that is already in process. So we need to make sure that gets resolved before the weather starts to get cold. It's bad enough the children are walking past pedophiles and others that they shouldn't be walking in front of or past. But when it gets cold and when it starts to get dark, that's a bad decision. Also, I think I did hear that there was an issue with a special needs child that didn't have a bus. So we need to look at that too. I don't know how some of these special needs children are supposed to get to school if they don't have buses. The third thing I want to bring up is the maintenance of the buses. Every time I go to a board meeting, we've got buses 10, 12, 15 years old and have not been maintained. This cannot continue. We can't put our children on buses that aren't maintained. It's not a safe situation. Not even for bus drivers. Why a bus driver doesn't want to drive a bus that's not maintained? Because I know that our bus drivers care about our children just as much as everyone else in the school district.
Escuché de esos problemas con la transportación cuando empecé a involucrarme en estas juntas del board. Los niños de las escuelas elementarias que viven cerca de 1.5 millas no tiene sentido que estén caminando tanto. Eso se debe de cambiar. En mi opinión, esa fue una mala decisión. Los niños chiquitos están caminando en las escuelas. ¿Por qué no empezaron con los niños de la high school para que caminen primero? No queremos que caminen estudiantes, pero mejor ellos que los niños pequeños. Más bien ahorita hay que pensar, porque va a empezar el tiempo de frío aquí en la área. Queremos que están caminando a veces enfrente de las casas de depredadores y violadores de niños. Eso no está bien. He escuchado también de la situación que hay un niño de educación especial que no tiene un autobús. ¿Cómo piensan que un niño de educación especial va a llegar a la escuela ellos mismos? Otra cosa es el mantenimiento de los autobuses. ¿Cuánto es ese costo? ¿Qué estamos haciendo para mejorar esa situación? Los choferes del autobús no quieren manejar autobuses sin estar seguros que los autobuses van a trabajar bien. Eso es para una medida segura y una medida para que estén felices en sus empleados.
Tenemos camiones que tienen ya 10, 15 años y no les han hecho nada de mantenimiento. Y también, ya que va a empezar el frío, los niños van a estar caminando ya casi en el atardecer, se pone más oscuro y se pone más peligroso para que ellos estén caminando. Necesitamos que ver dónde podemos agarrar o alocar ese dinero para ponerlo en la transportación.
I will prioritize our children's safety. As a bus driver, I see close calls daily when it comes to students walking, even if they're just walking across the street to the bus. Even with my stop arm out, I've had students almost hit to where I'm laying on the horn. Drivers a lot of times just don't care, they're not paying attention. I've seen them at Irving helping as a crossing guard, people come down the one way the wrong way. Even when students are just walking across this small tiny street. That definitely needs to be a priority. We can't keep having kids hurt. Our family's been affected by it personally with one of our boys who was hit by a car a few years ago. It's something that parents should never have to deal with. So to answer the question, I will prioritize that. I will make sure we have a transportation director who is very experienced, and he has a lot of knowledge. I think utilizing that would highly benefit us. Asking the right questions and finding the money to make sure that we can prioritize that. That is top priority. Thank you.
Lo que yo priorizar es la seguridad de los niños primero. Yo como soy chofera he visto momentos donde los niños empiezan a cruzar y para mí es muy importante siempre dejarlos cruzar para no tener accidentes, aunque casi los niños han hecho eso. En veces los choferes no están poniendo atención. Cuando yo trabajo cruzando los niños, en veces los carros no están atentos y en veces casi les pegan a los niños. Hemos tenido personalmente situaciones donde uno de nuestros hijos casi les ha pegado un carro. Este nuevo director de transportación que tenemos tiene mucha experiencia, tiene mucha sabiduría en cómo navegar un departamento de transportación y debemos de utilizar todo lo que él sabe para ayudarnos con nuestros problemas en nuestro distrito. Queremos asegurar que el dinero se navegue bien para ayudar a la transportación como debe de trabajar.
Did everyone have a question? I thought we did, yes. Okay, so we have 3 questions left, one of which kind of dovetails into this past question. And again, we can all choose what we want to answer, what we don't want to answer, whatever we want to do here. So, why does the taxpayer have to pay for bus transportation when they have no children in school? Who would like to take this question? Show of hands. You know what? I think I need to take this question. Do you want to translate the question real quick? Thank you.
¿Por qué nosotros que pagamos taxes tenemos que pagar por la transportación de los camiones cuando no tenemos hijos?
I'm going to give myself 2 minutes and my going to take a whole minute. 2 minutes. Promise. What's interesting about school funding is this. Everybody in Indiana is helping to pay for everybody else's stuff. We don't have discrete categories the way we understand it. It's not as simple as it used to be. You have different sources of funding different funds within your school. It's all very complicated. At the end of the day, though, I once had somebody ask me this about literally like 25 years ago. Really crazy situation. Well, why should we pay taxes for public schools? Why should people without children have to pay for anything having to do with children? It's like, those aren't just the children of like your loins. Those are the children of your community. Those are the people that you're going to have one day if you have an accident, that ambulance driver. The person who operates on you, the person who, sweeps your floors in the morning, the person who helps you file your taxes, every person you see in the street has something to do with your public education system. And frankly, here's a thought. It does tremendous damage to a community when children are in peril. I don't care whose children they are. If you have children being hit by buses, that is not a good thing. If it's happening unnecessarily, it's also not a good thing. And frankly, lots of people with children pay for a lot of things that people without children need, and vice versa. We're all part of a common good here, right? So when we start to do this kind of divisive, like, should we be paying for this if we don't have that? I mean, do we want to live in a society or not? I mean, we can just go back to caves. Cool.
Just 2 minutes exactly.
Como lo quiero explicar es que todos pagamos para todo. De cómo se navega el dinero en las escuelas. Se ha complicado la cosa. El dinero se mueve de cuenta en cuenta. Se mueve el dinero por esta razón y por esa razón. Pero vamos a pensar. Cuando pregunto por qué pagan para esas escuelas o algo así para los niños, ¿por qué si no tengo niños? Bueno, de lo que yo pienso es que estás invirtiendo en tu futuro, en ese chofer de las ambulancias, en diferentes miembros de tu comunidad en el futuro y ya después de que pases tú. Estás invirtiendo en tu comunidad. Si los niños les están atropellando carros y autobuses, eso no es bueno. Todos somos parte de mejorar de la sociedad. Si no quieren ser parte de la sociedad, mejor muévense a otros lugares donde no necesitan ser parte para ayudar a todos.
Todos juntos pagamos por todas las cosas de todos. Todos estamos colaborando por nuestro bien en nuestras comunidades. No, los niños no deben estar, los camiones no deben estar pegando a los niños. Y eso es parte de tu comunidad. Aunque no tengas hijos, todos nos ayudamos y debemos ayudar con lo que está pasando con la transportación.
Thank you. Next question. Is there any way that we can change the insurance that we have now? And anybody interested in this one? Okay. I don't think we're prepared for that question today, but
Translate.
La pregunta fue, ¿hay una manera de cambiar la aseguranza que tiene el empleado de Escuela Ciudad de Hammond al momento? Nadie quiso tomar la pregunta.
anybody want it yet? You want to track Lizette? Okay, 2 minutes, Lizette.
changed their healthcare plan. And so if Aetna is not working, and Blue Cross Blue Shield is better, then we have to do some research and see, and again, that goes right back into the budget. We have to budget and make sure that they're not paying those prices to get the services that they're needing. Definitely have to look into that. And there's, of course, anything is possible. We switch contracts, we switch providers and vendors all the time. So yeah, we could switch that. We just need to see what's going on with the money, compare it to the previous ones, and compare them to some other options that are being taken advantage of probably by administration today.
Considerado de lo que he escuchado, me dicen que cambiaron el plan que antes tenían y este nuevo no está funcionando. Mi meta de pensar es que todo es posible. Todos en el distrito hay maestros que quieren cambiar el plan de Aetna regresando a Blue Cross Blue Shield, que dicen que no pueden pagar para todos los pagos que les están requiriendo y que no está trabajando. Cambiamos de las compañías que usamos todo el tiempo, cambiamos de cuáles estamos usando al momento, porque esto no es lo mismo. Hay que planear para cambiar y ver mejores opciones que podemos tener para nuestros trabajadores del distrito.
Todo regresa a la locación pues del movimiento de dinero, básicamente. Tenemos que ver cuál plan trabaja mejor y comparar uno con el otro para ver cuál es mejor y cuál serviría mejor para los maestros.
No one else on insurance, right? Okay. Quick word on insurance. When I went to ICPE, Indiana Coalition for Public Education, their recent statewide, which was virtual, which I attended during a school board meeting of yours, which was really strange. Very hard to do two meetings at the same time, but also interesting. They had a couple of folks on there talking about this very issue. There is the option to self-insure. There is the option to join other school corporations that are self-insuring. There's a lot of back and forth about what parts should you be self-insuring, what parts you shouldn't be self-insuring. I'm going to try to remember, and please remind me if I don't, to put that information out there on the Facebook so that people can see and kind of learn more about that. There's some good stuff there. And good question.
De lo que les quiero dejar saber es que hay diferentes opciones de asegurarse. Te puedes asegurar a ti mismo afuera de lo que ofrece el distrito escolar. Hay diferentes pláticas de qué puedes asegurar, qué debes de asegurar. Y les quiero dejar saber que después en el Facebook compartiré estos recursos para que puedan pensar en cuáles diferentes seguranzas puedo tener. También pueden unirse con otras uniones de otras escuelas de esos planes de seguranzas que tienen. Tienen más opciones de lo que piensan.
All right. This is a final question that's been submitted. Assuming that this is the only one we get, we do have a fun exercise for after this question if we have time. If elected, how will you handle potentially hostile trustees within the board? Can you disagree respectfully and look for common ground to go forward? Who wants this one? I see Missy, I see Indian, was that everybody? All right, translation, thank you.
Si eres elegida, ¿cómo? ¿Cómo navegarías a un hostil miembro de la board? Puedes no estar de acuerdo respetamente y encontrar algo en común para mover adelante.
All right, who's got it first? I guess Evangeline, 2 minutes.
Okay. Hostility on the board, I'm assuming they're talking about what is going on right now, because we see a lot of hostility on the board, and it all came to a head at the last meeting. We saw it right front up and in our faces. I think the board, if the board was on the same page, there wouldn't be so much hostility. If the community trusted and believed in the board, there wouldn't be so much hostility between the board and the community. Because right now there's hostility all the way around. It's not just the board with the board. And it's understandable why this is all happening. It's not good that it's happening, but it's because I think people are frustrated that nothing is getting done. And I think the way to minimize this hostility is to focus on what the board is supposed to be doing and doing it. And not doing all these other things that may not have anything to do with the job of the board. I think once the board becomes a team and has the same goals and is working towards achieving those goals, maybe some of this stuff that's outside of that will be minimized.
Esta hostilidad que hablan, de seguro es del board de lo que vimos la última debate de que se acopló todo al final. Pero de lo que yo sé es que si el board estaba de acuerdo, si la comunidad tendría confianza en su board, no estaríamos en este problema. Tendremos esta hostilidad porque sabemos lo que dice la comunidad. Nada se está cumpliendo de lo que dice. El board debe de pasar tiempo en cosas para cumplir sus metas, no para pasar el tiempo en cosas que no debe de estar pasando el tiempo el board, que no vale la pena.
Tienen que estar en la misma página. Lo que está pasando es que todos están frustrados porque nada se está cumpliendo. All right, would you like to make a comment?
Well, I can understand that people can disagree, and there's going to be disagreements, but you can agree to disagree. I think that from watching some of these meetings, and a lot of them online prior years, there seems to be a combination of things, and there seems to be somewhat of an attack thing happening here, and there's a guard up, and I think that just treating each other with respect instead of going back and forth in a rebuttal between particular people, I think it will be less conflicting. Okay, I don't know why it continues to go that way. I know I saw some bylaws changed that did affect some of our current board members, and so I can see why there's a little bit of turmoil there. I don't see that happening next year. When it comes to the board, they do need to work as a team. And they will be disagreeing, but they have to do it in a more professional way. So, by all means, with what's happening right now, that's temporary. Nothing is forever. And I think that when we all take on a better approach and give each other an opportunity, rather than to constantly rebuttal back and forth about things, then more things will be solved and we can work better together. And just, if I have time, Mrs. Ellis, she did an amazing job at redirecting the board. In that one last meeting, it wasn't pertinent to what happened towards the end, but if you've seen how she was able to work right there in her spot, I am very proud of the way just her, yeah, I want to share.
Puedo entender que la gente puede pensar de maneras diferentes y no estar de acuerdo. Y en eso podemos estar de acuerdo que no siempre vamos a estar de acuerdo. De lo que hemos mirado de las grabaciones de estas juntas es que hay una combinación, unos ataques que están trayendo a la escuela, al distrito escolar. Y hay una guardia que está listo para defender. Eso de estar discutiendo de malas ondas no se está mirando bien. Sé que han pasado reglas que afectan ciertos miembros del board y eso no se me hace bien tampoco. Hay una manera mejor de estar conversándose como miembros del board, más profesional, es lo que deben de estar haciendo. Y esto de lo que estamos mirando de donde discuten y no están de acuerdo es temporal. Eso no va a estar siempre. En el futuro vamos a ver mejores condiciones con el board. Y quiero darle un saludo a la señora Miss Ellis, que hizo un buen trabajo dirigiendo el board en la última junta en su rol. So, estoy orgulloso de ella de estar cumpliendo su trabajo de su rol.
It's sad to me that there is currently hostility on the board. It's hard to get anything done when you're bickering back and forth. As human, you're never going to agree with anybody 100%. I think there's only probably one person in my life that I agree with every single thing for the past 12 years of knowing her. But as an adult, you look past that and you find a way to understand each other, and on the school board, understand each other and know that we should all be working towards the same goal, and that is for the betterment of our schools, for our students, for our staff, for our community, for everybody involved. If that is the goal that's always kept at the front of our minds, when we don't agree on certain things, we can actually come to an understanding and understand where everybody's coming from.
Porque a mí se me hace triste que está pasando esto, porque todos somos adultos y creo que 1% de mi vida no me ha pasado eso. Tenemos que ver a lo largo de lo que está pasando y entendernos como comité de la escuela. Tenemos que estar de acuerdo, que estemos en la misma meta para mejorar la escuela y también la vida de los estudiantes y también la comunidad.
Si mantenemos eso enfrente de nuestras mentes, podemos dirigir nuestras decisiones mejores para los estudiantes. Esta hostilidad que estamos viendo en el board, discutiendo, no está bueno.
All right, so we're supposed to have closing statements, which is 1 minute each. There had been a request earlier. I want to kind of check in. Are we interested in doing the let's have candidates ask candidates questions? There was a request earlier for candidates to prepare a question for people to answer. Where are we at with it now? I think that came in before we had gotten the questions and were prepared. Okay, I'm seeing blank stares there. I don't think there's any interest left in it. How about we do final statements then, y'all? Who has a mic in front of them? 1 minute.
The one that I didn't prepare. I think I've said everything. It takes a village to raise a child. It truly does. I'm going to repeat myself until I'm blue in the face with that. As long as we are working together, we need to get community inclusion back. We need to get the respect back for everybody involved. I see things when I'm in the schools every day, things that are popping up that make me sad for our kids. I want to change that, and I mentioned it in the article that was written. I believe in leaving things better than you found them, and I believe that I can do that in the schools.
Yo pienso que he dicho todo lo que puedo en estas sesiones. Como dije desde el comienzo, todos tenemos parte de crear un niño en la comunidad. Quiero ver más inclusión de la comunidad en nuestras escuelas. Quiero ver el respeto que se regresa a los estudiantes y a los maestros, a todos. Estoy en las escuelas mucho y miro cosas que está pasando y me hace triste para los niños. Quiero dejar cosas mejores de lo que yo los encontré. Esta es mi manera de vivir y con eso quiero dejar.
Was that 1 minute?
I'm coming to you because I love education. It just so happens to be both education and the children. That is my heart and family. Mine is a little small. So when it comes to education, I know the importance of it. I'm there supporting activists in our community, fighting for the environment, fighting for things, for causes, beautiful causes. And without education, we cannot do that. Our future generations cannot do that. So when I hear a parent say, oh, I only got 4 more years, my child is going to be gone in a year, and my child is older too, I don't think like that. I'm thinking about the future generations. We have children here that need, and they don't even know what they're missing. They don't know. They're watching things that they shouldn't be learning in the school setting. And so I want to change that. I've been a part of 2 communities as a parent advocate, and I really wanted to vote myself to this. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Vengo a usted porque amo a la educación. Mi corazón va con mi familia, aunque chiquita pero fuerte. Soy una abogada para la comunidad y sin la educación no podemos hacer muchos oficios y profesiones del futuro. Hay que hacer esto para el futuro de los niños. Cuando escucho que a padres hablan de que en 3 años se van sus hijos, yo no pienso de esa manera. De lo que estoy viendo que hay niños que están mirando cosas que no deben estar mirando en las escuelas y eso necesita cambiar.
All right, 1 minute.
I grew up in a family with parents who were always involved. PTA, everything in the neighborhood, and my parents always took care of other kids in the neighborhood. They were always in and out of our home. So I grew up in a family that gives back. So I have always felt that that has been my calling. I have always gotten involved in different organizations, and I did volunteer teach at the college level for an HBCU that couldn't even afford to pay me. I taught accounting in the evening for a year. But I've also been involved in a lot of other volunteer endeavors, and when I saw what's going on in the school board, I felt like it was my calling to get involved because I think I offer a different type of skill that I think would be good on the school board.
Me creí en una familia involucrada, siendo parte del PTA, siendo parte de la comunidad, padres que cuidan a otros niños de la comunidad. Siempre ha sido parte de mi familia que hay que mostrar el amor con sus actos. Yo he enseñado en el pasado en colegios históricos de afroamericanos que a veces ni tenían fondos para pagarme. Y yo di las clases como que era para ayudarles. Sentí el llamado de ser candidata porque pienso que ofrezco una perspectiva financiera que se necesita. Gracias.
Thank you. We're done. That's intense. Anyway, how about a round of applause for the candidates? Round of applause for our interpreters. Round of applause for our AV guy. Round of applause for our beautiful audience, always, including current trustee, including teachers, including parents, including all the beautiful staff that help make our children's lives livable. help our kids survive every day. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you guys for watching online. This has been a big endeavor. Thanks for going on this journey with us. And yes, on the boat. Oh, boat, sorry. Well, someone said something about a boat. I was really excited for a minute there. Yeah, get on the boat, but also get out the boat. Get on the boat and vote. This has been kind of a lot. If people want to donate toward offsetting costs, the coalition is a registered nonprofit organization. We subsist off of donations from community members if they want to contribute. Candidates are not allowed to contribute until after the election because we don't want any conflict of interest stuff. The gentleman with the phone that has the stream, I don't care if you donate $1. I don't care if you donate the spare change in your pocket. I will itemize it and I will accept it with gratitude. Thank you all. To God be the glory. And thanks for hanging with us. Good luck.